Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May peace and mercy and blessings of Allah be upon you. Welcome to another online lecture from the Australia Life Foundation. Today, inshallah, we'll be reading from the first station of the 21st word from the Risale-i Nur Collection, authored by Ustad Bediuzzaman Said Nursi. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن صلاة كانت على المؤمنين كتابا موقوتا. This is Surah Nisa, verse 103, which translates to, for such prayers are enjoined on believers at stated times. One time, a man great in age, physique and rank said to me, the prayers are fine, but to perform them every single day 5 times is excessive. Since they never end, it becomes wearying. A long time after the man said these words, I listened to my soul, and I heard it say exactly the same things. I looked at it and saw that with the ear of laziness, it was receiving the same lesson from Satan. Then I understood that those words were as those said in the name of all evil commanding souls, or else they had been prompted. So I said, since my soul commands the evil, one who does not reform his own soul cannot reform others, in which case I shall begin with my own soul. What we learn from this paragraph is that all our evil commanding souls are saying the same things, that the prayers are excessive and never end. What we need to do is reform our own souls to give powerful lessons such as the one we are currently reading, so we can silence it. Throughout the Risale-i Nur, we see that Ustad constantly accuses his own soul with phrases such as, oh my stomach worshipping soul, oh my impatient soul, oh my wretched soul. So we need to accuse our souls so we can see its faults. I would like to read a small section regarding the accusing of the soul from the 13th flash of the Risale-i Nur Collection, inshallah. Yes, a soul that listens to Satan does not want to see its own faults. Even if it does see them, it explains them away in 100 ways. According to the saying, the eye of contentment is blind to faults. When a person looks with pleasure on his soul, he does not see its errors. And because he does not see them, he does not admit to them or seek forgiveness, or seek refuge with Allah from them. So becomes the plaything of Satan. How can the soul be relied on when a noble prophet like Yusuf ﷺ said, nor do I absolve my own self of blame, the human soul is certainly prone to evil, unless my sustainer do bestow his mercy. The person who accuses his soul sees its faults, and he who admits his faults seeks forgiveness for them. And he who seeks forgiveness takes refuge with Allah, and he who takes refuge with Allah is saved from Satan's evil. Not to see one's faults is a greater fault than the first fault, and not to admit to one's faults is a serious defect. If one sees a fault, it ceases to be a fault. If one admits it, one becomes worthy of forgiveness. So we see, if we accuse our soul when it tells us that the prayer is excessive, we will be saved from Satan's evils. If we do not accuse our souls, we may become the plaything of Satan and leave or even neglect prayer. I said, going back to the 21st word, I said, O soul, listen to 5 warnings in response to those words which you uttered in compounded ignorance on the couch of idleness in the slumber of heathenness. So we need to give these 5 warnings that Ustad is going to mention to our own souls, inshallah. The first warning, O my wretched soul, is your life eternal, I wonder? Have you any inconvertible document showing that you will live to next year or even to tomorrow? Does any of us have a guarantee that we're going to live till tomorrow or even the next minute? I mean, we could have a heart attack right now, or this building can collapse, so we have no guarantee that we're going to live for the next minute or so. What causes you boredom is that you fancy you shall live forever. You complain as though you will remain in this world to enjoy yourself forever. Imam Ahmad Hanbal radiallahu anh says, when a person is born, the azan and iqamah are called in his ear, but the prayer is delayed till after his death. Meaning, the duration of life is like between the azan and iqamah, a very short life. And Imam Ali radiallahu anhu also says, how strange and foolish is man. He lives as though he shall never come to. He lives as though death shall never come to him, but dies in a way as if he was never born. Shows us that how short life actually is. If you had understood that your life is brief and that it is departing fruitlessly, it surely will not cause you boredom, but excite a real eagerness and agreeable pleasure to spend 1 hour out of the 24 on a fine, agreeable, easy, and merciful act of service, which is a means of gaining the true happiness of eternal life. So Allah has given us 24 hours in a day, and all He's asking for us is 1 hour of that, so we could do our prayers, which will be sufficient. And in return, He gives us eternal life, such that which is Jannah. The second warning: O my stomach worshipping soul, every day you eat bread, drink water, and breathe air. Do they cause you boredom? They do not, because since the need is repeated, it is not boredom that they cause, but pleasure. As eating and drinking and breathing does not cause us boredom, same with salat, it should not cause us boredom as well. In which case, the 5 daily prayers should not cause you boredom, for they attract the needs of your companions in the house of my body, the sustenance of my heart, the water of life of my spirit, and the air of my subtle faculties. So just to rephrase that, the prayer is a sustenance of the heart, the water of life of the spirit, and the air of the subtle faculties. Yes, it is by knocking through the supplication on the door of one all-compassionate, Rahim Kareem, and munificent, that sustenance and strength may be obtained for a heart afflicted with infinite griefs and sorrows and captivated by infinite pleasures and hopes. And it is by turning towards the spring of mercy of an eternal beloved through the 5 daily prayers that the water of life may be imbibed by a spirit connected with most beings, which swiftly depart from this transitory world, crying out at separation. And being most needy for air in the sorrowful, crushing, distressing, transient, dark, and suffocating conditions of this world, it is only through the window of the prayers that a conscience, inner sense, and luminous subtle faculty can breathe, which is by its nature desires eternal life and was created for eternity, and is a mirror of the pre-eternal and post-eternal one, and is infinitely delicate and subtle. The third warning: O my impatient soul, is it at all sensible to think today of past hardships of worship, difficulties of the prayers, and troubles of misfortune, and be distressed, and to imagine the future duties of worship, services of the prayers, and sorrows of disaster, and display impatience? In being thus impatient, you resemble a foolish commander, who, although the enemy's right flank joined his right flank and became fresh forces for him, sent a significant force to the right flank and weakened the center. Then, while there were no enemy soldiers on the left flank, he sent a large force there and gave them the order to fire. No forces then remained in the center, and the enemy understood this and attacked it and routed him. Yes, so the main thing is to focus on the current moment, not to focus on the past which has left us, or the future which has not arrived. Yes, you resemble this. For the troubles of yesterday have today been transformed into mercy. The pain has gone while the pleasure remains. The difficulty has been turned into blessings, and the hardship into reward. In which case, you should not feel wearied at it, but make a serious effort to continue with a new eagerness and fresh enthusiasm. As for future days, they have not yet arrived, and to think of them now and feel bored and wearied is a lunacy, like thinking today of future hunger and thirst, and starting to shout and cry out. Since the truth is this, if you are reasonable, you will think of only today in connection with worship, and say, I am spending 1 hour of it on an agreeable, pleasant, and elevated act of service, the reward for which is high, and whose trouble is little. Then your bitter dispiritedness will be transformed into sweet endeavour. My impatient soul, you are charged with being patient in three respects. One is patience in worship. Another is patience in refraining from sin. And a third is patience in the face of disaster. So with patience, which you use in three aspects, which is in worship, in refraining from sins, and in the face of disaster. If you are intelligent, take as your guide the truth apparent in the comparison in the third warning. Say in manly fashion, O most patient one, and shoulder the three sorts of patience. If you do not squander on the wrong way the forces of patience Almighty Allah has given you, they should be enough to withstand every difficulty and disaster. So hold out with those forces. The fourth warning. O my foolish soul, is this duty of worship without result? And is its recompense little that it causes you weariness? So is the rewards of the prayer so small that it causes us to be bored? Whereas, if someone was to give you a little money or to intimidate you, he could make you work till evening and you would work without slacking. So is it that the prescribed prayers are without result, which is in the guest house of the world, a sustenance and wealth for your impotent and weak heart, and in your grave, which will be a certain dwelling place for you, sustenance and light, and at the resurrection, when you will anyway be judged, a document and patent, and on the bridge of Sirat, over which you are bound to pass, a light and a mount. Are their recompense little? So with prayer, it is the sustenance and wealth for the heart, sustenance light in the grave, a document and patent at the resurrection, a light and mount on the bridge of Sirat. So it shows how the results are very big. Someone promises you a present worth $10,000 and makes you work for 100 days. You trust a man who may go back on his word and work without slacking. So if one for whom the breaking of a promise is impossible, Allah promises you recompense like Jannah, paradise, and a gift like eternal happiness, and employs you for a very short time in a very agreeable duty, if you do not perform that service, or you act accusingly towards his promise, or slight his gift by performing it unwillingly, like someone forced to work, or by being bored, or by working in a half-hearted fashion, you will deserve a severe reprimand and awesome punishment. Have you not thought of this? Although you serve without flagging in the heaviest work in the world out of fear of imprisonment, does the fear of an eternal incarceration like hell not fill your enthusiasm for a truly and agreeable act of service? The fifth warning. O my world-worshipping soul, does your slackness in worship and remissness, carelessness in the prescribed prayers arise from the multiplicity of your worldly occupations, or because you cannot find time due to the struggle for livelihood? Were you created only for this world that you spend all your time on it? You know that in regard to your abilities, you are superior to all the animals, but in regard to procuring the necessities of worldly life, you cannot compete with even a sparrow. So why can you not understand that your basic duty is not to labor like an animal, but to strive for a true perpetual life, like a true human being? In addition, the things you call worldly occupations mostly do not concern you, and are trivial matters which you meddle in officiously. You neglect the essential things and pass your time acquiring inessential information as though you were going to live for 1,000 years. For example, you squander your precious time on worthless things, like learning what the rings around Saturn are like, or how many chickens are there in America, as though you were becoming an expert in astronomy or statistics. So we waste our time on unnecessary information that is not useful at all. But if you say, what keeps me from the prayers and worship and causes me to be lax is not unnecessary things like that, but essential matters like earning a livelihood, then my answer is this. If you work for a daily wage of $100 and someone comes to you and says, come and dig here for 10 minutes and you will find a brilliant and an emerald worth $10,000, if you reply, no, I won't come because $10 will be cut from my wage and my substance will be less, of course you understand what a foolish pretext it would be. In just the same way, you work in this orchard for your livelihood. If you abandon the obligatory prayers, all the fruits of your effort will be restricted to only a worldly, unimportant and unproductive livelihood. But if you spend your rest periods on the prayers, which allow your spirit to relax and heart to take a breather, you will discover two minds which are an important source, both for a productive worldly livelihood and your livelihood and provisions of the hereafter. So Ustad is going to give us two examples here. These examples are for a gardener, but you can take the example according to your own occupation, inshallah. The first mind. Through a sound intention, you will receive a share of the praises and glorifications offered by all the plants and trees, whether flowering or fruit bearing, that you grow in the garden. The second mind. Whatever is eaten of the garden's produce, whether by animals or man, cattle or flies, buyers or thieves, it will become like sadaqah, almsgiving from you. But on condition you work in the name of the true provider Allah and within the bounds of what He permits, the halal, and see yourself as a distribution official giving His property to His creatures. So see, what a great loss is made by one who abandons the prescribed prayers. What significant wealth he loses, and he is deprived of those two results and minds which would otherwise cause him to work eagerly and ensure his morale is strong. He becomes bankrupt. Even as he grows old, he will grow weary of gardening and lose interest in it, saying, what is it to me? I am anyways leaving this world. Why should I put up with this much difficulty? He will sink into idleness. But the first man says, I shall work harder at both worship and illicit halal activities in order to send even more abundant light, nur, to my grave and procure more provisions for my life in the hereafter. In short, O my soul, know that yesterday has left you, and as for tomorrow, you have nothing to prove that it will be yours. In which case, know that your true life is the present day. So throw at least one of its hours into a mosque or prayer mat, a coffer for the hereafter like a reserve fund, set up for the true future. Know too that for you and for everyone, each new day is a door to a new world. If you do not perform the prayers, your world that day will depart dark and wretched, and will testify against you in the world of similitudes. For everyone, every day has a private world out of this world, and its nature is dependent on the person's heart and actions. Like a splendid palace reflected in a mirror takes on the color of the mirror. If it is black, it appears black. If it is red, it appears red. Also, it takes on the qualities of the mirror. If the mirror is smooth, it shows the palace to be beautiful, and if it is not, it shows it to be ugly. As it shows the most delicate things to be coarse, so you alter the shape of your own world with your heart, mind, actions, and wishes. You may make it testify either for you or against you. If you perform the 5 daily prayers, and through them you are turned towards the world's glorious Maker, all of a sudden your world, which looks to you, is lit up, quite simply as though the prayers are an electric lamp, and your intention to perform them touches the switch. They disperse the world's darkness and show the changes and movements within the confused wretchedness of worldly chaos to be a wise and purposeful order and meaningful writing of divine power. They scatter one light of the light-filled verse, Allahu Nuru samawati wal ard. Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth, over your heart, and your world on that day is illuminated through the light's reflection. It will cause it to testify in your favor through its luminosity. Beware, do not say, what are my prayers in comparison with the reality of the prayers? So do not compare your prayer with those of the awliya. Because like the seed of a date palm describes the full-grown tree, your prayers describe your tree. The difference is only in the summary and details. Like the prayers of a great saint, the prayers of ordinary people like you or me, even if they are not aware of it, have a share of that light. There is a mystery in this truth, even if the conscious mind does not perceive it, but the unfolding and illumination differs according to the degrees of those performing them. However, many stages and degrees there are from the seed of a date palm to the mature tree. The degrees of the prayers and their stages are even more numerous, but the essence of the luminous truth is present in all the degrees. O Allah, grant blessings and peace to the one who said, the 5 daily prayers are the pillar of religion, and to all his family and companions. Ameen al-Fatiha.